Hello everyone and welcome to the next mini tutorial here on Ducttapestuff. In this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to effectively cut duct tape to make it look very neat when you cut it out. I've been getting a lot of requests and a lot of questions lately on how to really cut the tape and how I cut it personally, just to make sure that it does look nice for my designs and for the creations that I make. So that's what we're going to be going over in this mini tutorial, how to cut the duct tape and make it look nice. So before we get into actually cutting the duct tape, I'm just going to give you a brief overview of the supplies that I use for cutting out the duct tape. Now, the first thing I'm going to start with are the X-Acto knives. Now, I use X-Acto knives to pretty much cut out all the duct tape that I use, and X-Acto knives are basically craft knives that you can use to cut out a variety of different craft items and stuff like that. They come in a variety of different lengths and different thicknesses depending on what kind of design you get. They do come in a variety of different blade types as well, and this one is just a simple craft blade. It's just it's pretty much just a very sharp triangle, and that's basically what I use. The cutting mat here is the surface I use to cut the duct tape on, and this is called an Omni cutting mat, as you can see kind of up here in the corner here. This is just basically a cutting mat that you can get at any craft store. They sell them at pretty much every single craft store that I've ever been to. It might not be called an Omni mat, it might be labeled under a different brand, so you just have to check and just make sure that it's a cutting mat. This also self-heals, so basically what that means is when I cut into it, eventually after a while the mark kind of disappears so that you can barely tell that it was ever cut there. After a while, if I would cut in the same spot a lot of times, it will eventually show a mark, but it won't be as pronounced as a normal board where it would eventually leave marks all over the place. The third tool I use is a ruler here. Now I do have this on this mat. I do have the grids, which are in inch by inch grids here, but like I said in previous videos and on comments, I am not able to move this mat around. I'm only able to use the ruler to move it around and just kind of warp it to whatever direction I need. So that's why I use a ruler for the actual measuring of the tape and stuff like that. So let's say I was going to cut out a strip of tape that's 7 3/4 inches, like for a wallet or something like that. So I'm going to stick the piece of tape down here, directly right on top of the mat. Make sure it's all just stuck down nice and tight. I'm going to line up the end here with 0. I'm going to come over to 7 3/4. I'm going to mark it with the X-Acto knife blade. I'm not going to cut the whole thing through, just mark it. Then I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and then just slide it right down, just like that. And voila, that's how easy it is to cut. And basically I just pull it apart, just like that. And then I have a perfect slice right down the center, and it's perfectly straight. Now, after I'm done with this process, I don't need the ruler anymore. So I take another piece here, and I use this sheet as my template. And I just strip, and I keep going down from there. So I mark it, cut it, boom, and then I keep going from there. So this allows me to get fairly perfect cuts every single time because I'm using my original piece, which is exactly 7 3/4 inches, and then keep expanding on that all the way down there. So basically what you want to do, if you don't have like an X-Acto knife and a cutting mat like this, you can use scissors, but you do want to make sure that you are cutting them straight across and that you do make sure that you are cutting it fairly straight, and you want to make sure that you don't cut on an angle. And I'll show you a brief example of the trouble you might run into if you do cut it on an angle, which I'll show you next. Alright, so I've got my 2 strips here. Let's say you cut this piece off here on an angle with your scissors. So I'm going to cut a piece off here, and then that'll make this side cut on an angle, and you can kind of see it is kind of on a slant there. Now let's take our 2 strips here, like we were going to stick them together for a wallet or something like that. Just like that. So I take my second strip and I'm going to apply it right on top of it. And now you notice obviously that it is off on an angle, so I'm going to do my best to stick it on there despite the fact that it is off. So I'm just going to stick it right down. Now I'll flip it over, and you'll notice that there's a decent amount of sticky side showing, and it's also off on an angle. Now if you were going to make like a wallet or something like this, and you kept doing strips that were off, eventually you'd end up with your measurements being slightly off. You also would, if you felt like trimming this off so that you didn't have any more of the sticky side showing, I took that little piece off, and now that I'm cutting into my 7 3/4 inch measurements. So basically what you want to do is you would definitely want to make sure you do cut on a straight line. If you are using scissors, make sure they're fairly sharp so that you are able to cut through the sticky tape pretty easily. The tape does get gunked up on the scissors pretty easily, so you're going to need to keep them sharp and clean and able to cut through the duct tape. Make sure you do cut it straight across, and that you do cut it to the appropriate length, and then you'll have no problems with using a pair of scissors. So that's basically just a short mini tutorial on how to cut duct tape using both the X-Acto knife and like the cutting board that I have here, as well as a pair of scissors. And I hope you guys enjoy this mini tutorial, and there will be more coming in the future. So stay tuned, take care, I'll see you next time.